All right. Thank you again, Ken and Chad, for having Regina and I. As Ken mentioned, my name is Daryl Lee, and I'm joined by with my colleague Regina Robinson. And Regina and I are the financial literacy counselors here for the school. We work within the financial aid department. We're not the financial aid processors like a lot of our colleagues are. They do the tough work, the labor-intensive work of awarding and adjusting awards. But Regina and I work closely with them, so we help them out and we understand why things are done and how they're done. But we're not financial aid processors, just to make that distinction. Today we're going to talk a little bit or mostly about financial planning as it pertains to your educational finances. I know that you guys know when it comes to planning, it's a critical component in being successful in school. You're certainly not going to start studying for your midterms the night before, nor are you going to start your term papers the day before. You guys know that that's not a recipe for success. But lots of times, what gets lost in the whole equation about going to school is preparing for the financial side of it. And if you look at statistics nationally, a lot of students wind up dropping out of college before they get their degree because they haven't really planned for the financial aspect of it. And that's something that you really have to be mindful of, because unlike a midterm or paper where maybe you can get by without adequate preparation, you're not going to be able to survive 4 years of school without planning for the finances of it. So a lot of our presentation today are going to talk about things that you guys should be doing now, what you should be doing every semester to plan for that financial aspect, because it is a big investment. There's no question. And we want to see you all graduate in 4 years. We don't want to see anybody having to leave because of financial reasons. So again, our presentation today will talk to you mostly about that. We will also start to talk a little bit about current financial aid matters, finalizing your financial aid if you haven't done so already. And then we'll just leave some time for questions at the end. Regina?
Well, I just want to say as well that it's terrific to be with you. And I think as Daryl runs through the presentation, you will pick up several key elements that will assist you as you go forward with your PACE degree. And you will see how they can apply to you while you're here as a student and how they will ground you so that you will continue forward when you become an alum. And critical and key, as Daryl said, is thinking forward and is planning.
Thanks, Reg. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share a screen now. So hopefully you will all be able to see what I'm bringing up. And I'm going to assume you can all see that unless I hear otherwise from you. Okay, so on the screen is a little spreadsheet we have. As you see, it's broken up into freshman and sophomore, semester 1, which is this coming fall, semester 2 for a freshman, which is the spring, semester 3 a year from now, semester 4 again a year and a half from now. And the columns are broken up. We're going to start with the furthermost left column, at all times. So the following 7 categories are items which we feel all students should really be focusing on at all times when it comes to their educational finance. Starting at the top, you should always know your current costs and your estimated future costs. I don't think any of you would ever go into a store, let's say if you're looking for a sweatshirt, pick up the first sweatshirt you see, bring it to the cash register and not even look at the price. You should always know what your costs are so that you can be prepared for it. Amazingly, lots of times when we deal with students, they don't know how much tuition is. Sometimes they leave it to their parents, but we want students to be involved as well. So you should always know your current costs. What is your tuition cost? If you're living on campus, what are you paying for that? What are your meals? You want to really have a good understanding of your costs. So this way, as you're planning your budget, you know that you're saving adequately. And also have an idea as to what the estimated future costs are. Unfortunately, prices in life do go up. Inflation's a factor. There are many other factors which impact that. So even though you're paying X amount of dollars for tuition this year, That might not be the case next year. So you want to, again, adequately prepare your savings, know how much you will need next year versus the year after. Generally speaking, PACE has about a 3% increase per year. That's been the historical case. It could change. Hopefully it's lower, but you do want to prepare for that. So again, at all times, you want to know your current costs and you want to at least have an idea as to what your estimated future costs are. Second box is to look and apply for outside scholarships. There is a lot of money out there in outside scholarships. It's there for you to take, but you have to work to get it. We've worked with many students who have been very vigilant and applied for many, many scholarships, and they do get some. You have to be practical in your approach. You're not going to apply for 10 scholarships and get 3. It's not quite that easy. But if you apply for scholarships consistently and diligently, we have seen many students get scholarships, which can make a big difference. And in the end, it's all free money. Money is something that we all need. You can get some free money. It's only going to help you and your family that much more. At the end of the presentation, we'll provide you with some websites that we feel are pretty good for scholarships. But again, the ball is in your court. You certainly want to look for them. You certainly want to apply for them. And you certainly want to do this for all 4 years of your undergraduate education. Don't just do it now because we're talking about it. Do it now for next year and do it next year for the year after. Just make it part of your routine. Again, it's free money. It can't hurt. If you found free money in the street, all of us would pick it up and be very happy. This is a big part of it. So don't hesitate to apply for outside scholarships. And again, make it part of your routine. Try to challenge yourself. Try to do at least a couple a week. It'll make a difference in the end. The next box is to construct and follow a budget and make saving your money a habit, not just a goal. Lots of times people have Fitbits, they challenge themselves, they want to get their 10,000 steps in a day, and many people do it. But after they hit their 10,000th step, they don't just go on the sofa and crash for the rest of the night. They continue walking. Saving money should be taken in along the same vein. You want to maybe have a goal, you want to have a budget, but just because you reach that goal doesn't mean you stop saving and you spend everything. Budgets are very important for those of you who don't have one. With a budget, you can see where your money's going, how much you're bringing in. Without a budget, all you know is maybe you look in your pocket and you thought you had $20, but now it's gone and you really don't even recall where it went. So budgeting is very important. If you haven't done it yet, it's very important for college students. It's very important for myself, for Ken, for Chad, for anybody, grandparents, retired people. You have to know where your money is going in order for you to have a good idea as to where you're going. Budgeting is very simple. It's just simply tracking the monies that you have coming in and where it's going. And when you see that on paper, you may be very surprised at seeing where your money is going. Lots of students have told us they can't believe they're spending so much at Chipotle when they look at their budget and they see they're going there 3, 4, 5 times a week, or going to Starbucks twice a day for a week. You spend a lot of money doing a lot of things, but you wouldn't necessarily know it unless you had a budget and you can see it in writing. So if you don't have a budget, it's something you should do now. Very easy to do. Again, just tracking the money that you have coming in and seeing where it is going out. And if you track it consistently, you'll be able to spot trends and correct those trends so that you don't fall into debt. So that's something that we strongly encourage everyone to do. The next box is consider taking the maximum amount of credits in a semester to save a little time and money. As full-time students, you're paying the same price whether you're taking 12 credits or 18 credits. So if you're in a situation where you know a semester you have might be a little bit on the easier side, maybe some of the courses aren't quite as demanding as other semesters, you may want to consider taking a couple of extra credits. Again, since you're paying the same price, that might save you time at the end. Maybe you wouldn't have to stay for a full year, 4 years. Maybe you can get your degree done in 3.5. Speak to your advisor about this to see if it's a good idea. Again, we don't want to overtax you. You don't want to overtax yourself. You want to make sure that you're getting good grades. But if you have a semester that's coming up and you think you have the ability and the time to take on those extra credits, it's something you may want to consider because again, it's not costing you more. You may finish up earlier and you may save some money in the process. So that's a strategy that might work for some of you, depending on your major and depending on your requirements, but something to keep in mind. A lot of you have come into PACE and have been awarded scholarships based on all that you've done in the past. These scholarships typically have requirements. You have to make sure that you're meeting the necessary GPA in addition to other requirements. Know what those requirements are. You want to make sure that you're doing everything you can so you don't lose those scholarships. So scholarships represent a lot of money to any of you who have them. And we've seen a lot of students not be aware of the GPA requirements and wind up losing that scholarship. And that can really affect you very adversely in terms of continuing to go to school. So when you sign the paperwork over the summer, your scholarship agreement form, know what GPA you have to maintain in order to keep that scholarship, know the credit requirements, know what you have to do. Again, you want to be fully aware of the situation so that you don't risk losing that scholarship. Also, research the benefits of a college 529 plan. This is something maybe for more of your parents or whoever's saving for your schooling. 529 plans are available in every state in the country. It's a plan where you can put your money away, hopefully to grow it, and when you pull it for qualified educational expenses, you don't have to pay taxes on the growth. Whereas if you put your money in a bank, the interest that you're gaining is very low right now, and you'll probably have to pay taxes on it. So this is a very good alternative for parents and families to save money. Even if you haven't done it, you can still do it now because again, you're going to be in college for 4 years. And it's something to consider. There may also be federal and or state income tax benefits to having a 529 plan. At the end of the presentation, we will show you an address where you can go to research a little bit more. And you're not obligated to save a certain amount. You can save whatever you want. But again, that money can grow. And when you pull it for a qualified educational expense, you don't have to pay taxes on it. So it's a good thing to have. And it's a good way to save money for school. Lastly, in the at all times column, you want to keep track of your loans and know what you owe. Regina and I will be the first ones to tell you that as financial literacy counselors, we don't want to see any students getting in over their head when it comes to loans and debt. But loans really are a part of school and sometimes they're part of life. Years from now, when you guys are maybe ready to buy a condo or a house, unless you have the money in cash to buy it in full, you're going to have to take out a mortgage, a loan from a bank for the house. That's kind of the part and parcel for buying a home. Maybe you're going to want to buy a car, used or new. You're probably going to have to take out a loan unless you've been able to save. So for school, which is one of the biggest investments of your life, you may have to take out loans, particularly in the first year, because you may not have had the opportunity to save for now. If you have to take out a loan, we tell you to do it intelligently. Don't rely on that as your first source of financing. And that's, again, a big reason for our presentation for you today, is to look at all these other options first, to put all these plans into action so that loans, while still available, are not your first preference. And this will help you because 4 years will go fast. If you just borrow, and not take into account any of these other options, you're going to wind up having a very large student loan payment to pay every month for a long time, 10 years or more. So again, we want to take steps now and be proactive so you're not in that situation. Regina and I have worked with a lot of students who come to us in their senior year and they can't believe how much they owe, but it's because they really haven't tracked how much they borrow. They haven't done any of the things that we are suggesting that they do to try to mitigate some of the loans that they're taking out. So again, today's presentation is to show you ideas and strategies so that you don't have to borrow without really considering the cost of that. You have to borrow a little bit for school. It's understandable, it's normal, but it doesn't mean you have to over borrow. So whatever you do borrow, keep track of, know how much you borrowed in your freshman year, know how much you're borrowing in your sophomore year, keep track of those payments because again, they are loans. You will have to repay them back with interest and that's going to impact you for a long time. So just be smart about the loans that you're taking out. Regina?
I think these seven key points that Daryl has highlighted are very crucial to use your first year here at PACE as laying the groundwork for getting these getting these topics into your heart and embedded into your brain. And one sample that can sometimes be helpful is in planning as you use the same strategy for your academics and your course assignments, as Daryl said, is because there is a lot of information overload. If you build into your schedule, pick a day of the week. I'll call it Friday because Friday begins with F, financial aid, financial literacy begins with F. And you can build into your schedule that Friday is the day where you concentrate and look at anything to do with financial literacy. And it'll just set you on a habit where you can start to build on each one of these topics and make it part of your life.
Thank you, Reg. So again, these are the 7 categories that we feel students should be looking at all times, not just today, not just next month, but at all times. So keep that in your mind. Make it, again, part of your strategy, make it part of your routine to kind of help you get through the next 4 years. Now we're going to focus on what freshmen should be doing in their first semester. So the semester coming up, the fall semester. The first and one of the most important things is you always want to file your FAFSA in the fall. The Fafsa filing period opens up on October 1st, and ideally you want to do it right at that time or shortly thereafter. You don't want to wait to do your Fafsa. And the reason is PACE has a priority processing deadline of typically November 15th. Doesn't mean that you can't do your FAFSA after that. But what it does mean is that if you do your FAFSA and get it completed prior to the priority processing deadline, you are assured of getting all the aid that you're eligible for. Many times students will wait, do their FAFSA late, and even though they might be entitled to receive some funds, those funds have run dry because they've taken too long to do their FAFSA. So we encourage you every year, and again, for you guys that are starting in the fall, October 1st will be coming up soon, make sure you do your FAFSA as early as possible. Another thing that can complicate waiting to do your FAFSA is what's called verification. And we'll talk about verification a little bit later. But for those of you who might have already been selected for verification, you know it's a very labor-intensive process and it can slow things down. So that's just another reason to do your FAFSA as early as possible. So once we start back up in the fall, which should be August 24th, I believe, get ready and start being prepared to do your FAFSA once October 1st rolls around. Another thing that can help you with your finances is that PACE offers payment plans to help students and families pay their bill. The payment plan for the spring semester, which is the next semester, typically begins in November. The payment plan for the current semester, fall, usually begins right around June or July. And a payment plan breaks down what you owe over a series of maybe 4, 5, or 6 payments. It's certainly easier to make a payment spread out over 4 or 5, 6 months as opposed to paying your bill in one fell swoop on August 1st. Payment plans might also help you to be able to borrow a little bit less. If you know that you can handle X amount of dollars for 4, 5, 6 payments, that's that much less that you have to borrow and repay with interest. So in the fall semester, you can start to think about a payment plan for the spring, which again usually starts in around October, November. Because of the timing of our presentation to you today, you can actually still think about doing a payment plan for the fall. But a payment plan might help you and your family so that you don't have to borrow as much if you know you can spread out those payments over 5, 6 months. Investigate RA opportunities for next fall. For those of you who are living on campus, an RA is a resident assistant. These are very highly coveted positions whereby you are kind of the manager for the hallway of the residence hall that you're living in. This is an opportunity that looks great on your resume. You have a lot of skill requirements to be an RA. And for those of you who enjoy the social aspect of living in a dorm, this is something that you may want to pursue. In addition to it being a very prestigious and very great opportunity to have are some of the benefits. An RA doesn't have to pay, or they get a housing waiver and they get a meal plan waiver, which if you look at your bill is a very big part of your bill, housing and the meal plan. As an RA, you have those costs waived, which is a great benefit in addition to having the kind of job that an RA is. So if it's something that you're interested in the fall, get to know your RA, find out the requirements, see what he or she does, understand the role, and if you want to pursue it, they typically have a mandatory meeting in the fall semester to express your interest, which is then followed up in the spring with interviews. So again, if it's something that you want to do, look into it. Don't do it just for the benefits because it is a job and there is a lot of work involved. But if you think you would really like it, it's a great opportunity and one that can also help you financially as well as professionally. Work study and non-work study jobs. After you do your FAFSA, if you are eligible for a work study job, financial aid would put that on your financial aid award, and you'll see a dollar amount next to the work study on your financial aid award letter. This is money that you are able to earn in a work study job over the course of the semester or the year. It's not automatic money. You still have to apply for the work study job. You still have to interview, you still have to get the job, and you still have to do the hours. But this is money that you can earn to help you with your living expenses. The time to look for work study jobs is now. You'll see the link there on the page, careers.pace.edu. When you go onto that link, you'll see that departments are offering work study jobs at this point in time, and they continue to do so throughout the summer. So if you are interested in a work study job, you want to take a look at that link on a regular basis and apply for a job that you think you would like. If you don't have work study on your financial aid award, doesn't mean that you can't work on campus. It just means that you're not eligible to get a work study job. The main difference between the two is that work study jobs are funded by the government, whereas non-work study jobs are funded directly by PACE. The jobs are very similar. The pay is similar. Again, the only difference is the funding source for the work study jobs versus non-work study jobs. So again, even if you don't have a work study award on your financial aid award, doesn't mean that you can't work on campus. You just wouldn't apply for a work study job. But PACE has many opportunities for non-work study students as well as work study students. And again, it's at the same link, careers.pace.edu. Lastly, we encourage students to work early and closely with advising to determine your major. We see nationally lots of times students go through the hard work that's required to get an undergraduate degree, get their degree, and wind up doing something that's completely unrelated to their major, which kind of makes a little bit that 4 years that they've just put in a little bit of a waste of time. We don't expect anybody in their freshman year to know what they want to do for the rest of their life, right? You have a whole road ahead of you. But start to think about things that you like. Maybe not jobs per se, but maybe about industries. Maybe you like working in the business world. Maybe you like working in healthcare. Think about the roles within those fields and talk to your advisors about what job opportunities there are within those fields. You don't, again, want to major in something and then in your third year when you have to clear a major, or maybe even in your second year, realize that you really don't like this, but now you have to follow through with it because you've already spent 2 or 3 years of your life taking all the classes that you need. So that's why we suggest to you that early on you work with advising to get a good idea as to what's out there. See where the jobs are, see if this is an industry that you like, see what the anticipated growth rate for the jobs are. Is it in the Northeast? Is it in the Southwest? Is it in an area that you think you want to live in and work in? And start to ask yourself these questions now. Again, you don't have to decide now, but just, do some introspection and think about yourself and what you envision your life to be, and work with advising so that this way you're taking the right steps and making the right choices early on rather than later. Okay, Reg?
In the careers website that Darrell pointed out, careers.pace.edu, you will also get a host of other information. In that unit, there are lovely professionals who have tremendous knowledge, and you can work with Chad and you can work with Ken. And if you find it's appropriate that you ever want to meet or have a chat with one of the career specialists, they're really terrific. And that may be something that you can think about down the road that will be very helpful for you.
Thank you, Reg. As we move on to the third column, which is the second semester for freshmen, so next spring, these are the items that we think you should start thinking about when you enter your spring semester. Number one is to apply for a PACE Endowed Scholarship in January. A PACE Endowed Scholarship is a scholarship, multiple scholarships that are funded by alumni and by companies that do business with PACE, and they are only for PACE students. We have about 200 to 250 scholarships a year within the PACE Endowed Scholarship family. All that you have to do is, after you return from the fall semester and you're now in the spring semester, is to just bring up the link on the website, the school website, type in PACE Endowed Scholarships, and just enter your information in that. And we will try to match you up with a scholarship that you are eligible for. There are two caveats. You want to make sure that your GPA is at least a 3.0, and you want to make sure that you've done your most recent Fafsa, which you would have done in October. Assuming you meet those two criteria, you can sign up for a PACE Endowed Scholarship, which is, again, just more free money. And if you are eligible, we will try to match you up with a scholarship. Doesn't cost you anything, and in this case, there's no essays to complete. So do it. It's really a no-brainer. And do it early because, again, timing is important. So once you come back from the spring semester, fall semester rather, or even earlier, apply for a PACE Endowed Scholarship. The next box, again, linking ahead, is a time to start planning for the fall semester and the fall payment. And you can typically sign up for a payment plan for the fall in June or July. Now, we're printing it again. You're seeing it in the column for semester 2 spring. That's when you would start thinking about the fall, so that you're not caught short by or caught by surprise. So once you return to the spring semester, you want to start thinking about your plans for paying the fall. And this way you'll be adequately prepared and won't be in a panic once the bill comes in July. Explore summer jobs to save for the fall semester. A lot of students that I work with and speak to, they definitely work in the summer. Some of them even work full-time to really try to save as much money as possible. When you come back for the spring semester, that's the time to start looking at summer job opportunities. Some of you may be working already while you're in school, and maybe you'll just continue with that job for the summer. Maybe you'll have the opportunity to get more hours. But again, it's just an opportunity to work and save more money, and through smart budgeting, you can save that much more for the next semester so you don't have to borrow. And that's the goal here. You want to borrow as little as possible. Again, the next box, continue to look for work study and non-work study jobs. Maybe some of you didn't want to work in the fall semester because you wanted to get acclimated to school and balance your time, which is understandable. But maybe now in the spring, you feel a little bit more comfortable and you want to start looking for a work study or a non-work study job. Again, in the spring when you return, that's a time to start investigating and looking into that option. And again, the last box, you'll see we talk to you again about working early and closely with advising to determining your major. Talk to your advisors, talk to Ken, talk to Chad, pick their brains, talk to your friends and neighbors, look at what interests you and think about the shape of your life and the things that you may want to do. Freshman year is done. Now you're in your sophomore year, and you're going to see it kind of repeats itself. So in the first semester of your sophomore year, which is your third semester, the same thing applies. You want to do your FAFSA right around October 1st or as early as possible. You want to look at the payment plan for the spring, start making your plans so that you can take advantage of a payment plan. Again, you want to look into RA opportunities if you are interested in being an RA, looking for work study and non-work study jobs, and working early and closely with advising to determine your major. In the second half of your sophomore year, you're going to see it repeats itself as in the second semester of your freshman year. You're applying for a PACE scholarship, which you will typically do in January every year. Again, you're looking ahead and looking at the payment plans for yourselves for the fall, which usually begins into June, exploring summer jobs to save for your fall semester, looking for work study and non-work study jobs, and again, working early and closely with advising to determine your major. So you see there are some consistent themes, whether you're in your first semester or your third semester, or your second semester or your fourth semester. These are things that you want to keep abreast of and really commit to mind so that this way you're always one step ahead of the game. Okay, Regina?
I just want to add that for the PACE Endowed Scholarship Program, which you can look toward applying for that program in January after the new year, that it is important in order to receive funding in that program, you have to have filed your Fafsa application. And also you must have usually a minimum grade point average of 3.0, and you must be full-time. So those are 3 barometers that you can build into your planning for the Endowed Scholarship Program.
Thanks, Reg. Okay, we're going to move on to the second slide now, which is going to talk about your third year, your junior year, and your fourth year, your senior year. Again, you're going to see some repetition. So in the first column at all times, that hasn't changed. You want to know your current costs and your estimated future costs. Again, you want to continue to look for and apply for outside scholarships. You don't stop that. You continue doing that. Continue to follow a budget or construct one if you haven't. Save your money. Consider taking the maximum amount of credits where you can, if possible, to save yourself a little time and money going down the road. Always know the GPA requirements of your scholarship. Research the benefits of a 529 plan and keep track of your loans. Whatever you borrowed in your freshman and sophomore year, you want to keep track of how much you borrowed and how much you're going to want to owe. Here again, in your junior year, semester 5, you're going to see the same items that we listed in your first semester and your third semester. Again, you're going to want to file your FAFSA as soon as you're able to once October 1st rolls around. You want to start to explore payment plan for the spring, which usually begins around October, November. Again, you want to investigate RA opportunities if you're living on campus. You want to look for work study and non-work study jobs, and you want to work closely with advising to determine your major. In the second semester of your junior year, again, it's going to repeat itself much like the second semester of your freshman year and second semester of your sophomore year. When you come back in January, you want to apply for a PACE Endowed Scholarship, making sure that you have at least a 3.0 GPA and making sure that you've done your FAFSA. Again, you want to look at a payment plan for the fall, which usually begins in June. Start to look at summer jobs for yourself for the fall. Again, continue to look for work study and non-work study jobs. And lastly, work early and closely with advising to determine your major. Now you're seniors. Congratulations. You made it through 3 years of school. Things change a little bit in this grid, as you can see. In the first semester of your senior year, you really don't have to file a FAFSA anymore unless you're planning on going for your master's degree, which some of you by now would have determined if it's beneficial for you. And if you are, then again, you want to do your FAFSA in the fall semester of your senior year, right around October 1st for the start of your grad degree. Again, you want to look for a payment plan in the spring because you will have to come back for your last semester for the spring. If you're eligible for graduation, you want to complete the application for graduation and diploma. That's something that typically you would do through the Office of Student Success, OSS. And lastly, you want to look for work study and non-work study jobs if you're so inclined. And in your final semester of your final year, you want to go to studentaid.gov for information on your student loans. You can actually do that at any time. You don't have to wait till your last semester. As a matter of fact, it is a good idea if you do it before your last semester. But if you've been keeping track of your loans all along, you'll have a good idea as to what you've borrowed and what you may owe. Again, in your last semester of your senior year, if you're eligible for graduation, you're going to complete the application for graduation and your diploma. And you may want to look for work study and non-work study jobs for your final semester of your senior year. And congratulations, you've graduated. It, we covered this quickly, but it will go quickly for you as well. Time always seems to go fast. Regina?
I know in the senior column, you're going to see the highlighted studentaid.gov. As Daryl properly pointed out, that's information for your student loans. And you can access that information. It's good to do it also at the end of each semester, if you will, because that will let you know what your record is regarding what you've borrowed. And then you can also see what, if you want to go that far, what your anticipated monthly payment will be. But obviously, it's super critical that you do that in your senior year.
Okay, thanks, Regina. From here, we're going to break into current financial aid situation, which some of you may be in at this point in time. So verification is something we talked a little bit about in the previous slides. Verification is kind of a audit, so to speak, or a quality assurance check by the Department of Education to make sure that the information that we have is accurate. If you've been selected for verification for financial aid, it's not something you did wrong or incorrect. It's just the government's way of checking and making sure that everything is correct. If you've been selected for verification, you'll know this by now. We would have sent you emails, you'll be notified. And verification is a very, as I mentioned, time-consuming and labor-intensive process for us. So if there are documents that you need to submit to us before we can start your verification, you want to get it to us as soon as possible because it really builds up a lot in the summer. To see if you have any outstanding requirements, you want to log on to the PACE portal, go to the Students tab, scroll down to Financial Aid Systems, click on Eligibility, select the appropriate academic year from the dropdown, and see what you have to submit in order for us to conduct your verification. Again, the summer is always the busiest time for financial aid, and the waits can be long. So try to get those documents into us as soon as possible. You can use the Document Submission tab on the main school website. That is the most efficient way to get your documents into us, as opposed to email or mailing it in, of course. So try to use the Document Submission tag wherever possible. For those of you who see the New York State Tuition Assistance Program award on your financial aid letter, you want to make sure that you submit your tuition assistance program application. This is free money, which you've been identified that you're eligible for. If you do see it on your award letter, you would fill out the application electronically. You can go right to the link there, www.hesc.newyork.gov. The school code is there. And again, this is free money that you are potentially eligible for. So if you see that on your award letter, we've identified you as someone who's eligible, and you want to make sure that you apply for that, because again, free money, take advantage of it. Okay. For some of you, or for any of you who have been awarded the subsidized and the unsubsidized Stafford loan, you'll see that on your award letter. If you do want to receive these loans that you've already been approved for, because you've done your Fafsa and it's been identified that you're eligible to receive these loans, you want to complete 2 steps. You want to make sure that you sign your MPN, which stands for Master Promissory Note, and you want to make sure that you complete your Loan Entrance Counseling, LEC. Both steps must be completed in order for you to receive the loan for the start of the school year. You can't just do one, you have to make sure that you do both. If you don't want the loans, you don't have to complete it, but if you want the loans, you want to make sure that you complete both these steps. Once you complete it, we'll receive notification, and those funds will be released to your account when we receive it from the government. Parent Plus loan is always another loan that students and parents are eligible to apply for to kind of close whatever gap remains from all the funding that you have and where the bill is. Parent Plus loan is a loan that the parent will take out on behalf of the student. It's a loan with the Department of Education. And even though it's on your award letter, it's not automatic. The parent still has to complete an application for the loan. The determination if they're eligible to receive the loan will be a determination by the Department of Education, not by the school. But the application does come back to the school initially so that we can do some housekeeping items before it gets forwarded to the Department of Education. You don't have to go for a direct Parent Plus loan. If you don't want to, you can also go for an alternative loan. That's a loan through any outside bank or any outside lender. Uh, Keep in mind, though, that those outside loans are a little bit more stringent and a little bit more labor intensive. You do have some more paperwork to complete for outside loans as opposed to the Parent Plus loan. Parent Plus loan, because it's through the Department of Education, they tend to be a little bit more lenient in accepting and awarding the loans to parents. So all things being equal, it's probably a little bit easier to get a Parent Plus loan. But again, if a Parent Plus loan, for whatever reason, the parent doesn't want to apply for it, they can get a loan or apply for a loan through any outside lender, any outside bank. If a parent does apply for a Parent Plus loan and they get denied by the Department of Education, they can appeal to the Department of Education to review their situation, and maybe the Department of Education will overturn their decision. They could also reapply with a cosigner, much like any loan. If you don't get it on your own, you can get a cosigner to increase the likelihood that the lender will approve the loan. So that's an option that parents have if they apply for a Parent Plus loan and are denied the loan. In also all cases, if a parent is denied a Parent Plus loan upon the parent's request, we can award you an additional $4,000 through the unsubsidized Stafford loan. $4,000 for the year, which would be $2,000 in the fall, $2,000 in the spring. That would help close the gap a little bit, although it may not close the entire gap you may face. But parents do have that option if they are denied a Parent Plus loan, and that's a question that you'll see on the application. You can complete the application electronically on the school website, so that's the fastest way to do it. If you haven't done it yet, you'll want to do that soon. It does take a little bit of time, but we try to get through the applications quickly, and the government responds typically pretty quickly with their decision as well. Okay, Regina?
Just to make the distinction and just to review, the subsidized or the unsubsidized loan, there are two different types of loans. Those loans would be awarded and received by the student. Legal repayment, therefore, is the student's responsibility. Even if someone else in your household says, don't worry about it, I'll pay those loans back for you, the loan is in the name of the student. For the parent loan, obviously then, the loan is in the name of the parent. Even if the student says, Dad, I got this, I'll make the payments for you. That can be a family decision internally, but legally speaking, the loan is in the name of the parent, and that's the difference between the two loans there.
Thanks, Regina. And that's something to note as well. Regina and I are always meeting with students and parents. Very often we're part of a conversation where a parent may take out a Parent Plus loan, but between the parent and the student, it's the student that's going to be repaying the loan, not the parent. That's obviously a personal conversation between you and your parents, but that's something that we see that happens a lot, where the parent will take out the loan, it's in their name, legally they're responsible, but the understanding between the parent and the child is that it's the child or the student that's going to take care of the loan. So keep that in mind for any future loans that your parent may want to take out for you. Okay. This page just kind of talks about the alternative education loans, what we talked about a moment ago. If your parent does not want to apply for a direct Parent Plus loan, you can go outside the school, go to any lender of your choice, any bank, any credit union, and apply for a loan through that lender. We can't recommend a lender. It would not be appropriate for us to do, but this is a site that will give you a list of all the alternative loan lenders out there. As with any loan, you want to do your due diligence. Find out what the terms are, what the interest rates are, what the repayment schedule is, all the criteria that goes into taking out a loan, and do your comparison shopping look at one lender versus another. And when you find one that meets and satisfies your requirements, then you can certainly go ahead and apply. And again, this is only if your parent decides that they don't want to apply for a direct parent plus loan. Some students don't have the luxury of a parent borrowing. Some students may want to look for loans for themselves. I will tell you that it's pretty tricky to do that because you typically don't have the credit history necessary at your age to apply for a loan. There are some lenders out there who will approve loans for freshmen, but you want to definitely make sure of the terms. You want to know what you're getting into. You want to look at the interest rates. You want to look to make sure that this is something you can handle. But this is something that some students have investigated on their own. Again, it's not an easy thing to do. So just be careful if you're in that situation where you're looking to take out a loan on your own through an outside lender. Okay. Lastly, this is the last page of the presentation. As we talked about earlier, these are some outside scholarship websites that we feel are pretty reputable and provide good information. Petersons.com, niche.com, fastweb.com, and unigo.com. You should use all of them, not just one of them, and look at these sites regularly and apply for scholarships regularly. It won't hurt you, it doesn't cost you anything, and you may get some free money in the process. Again, try to make this as part of your routine, do it regularly, and do it all year long. For the PACE Endowed Scholarships, you can use this link, or you can, again, just go onto the main school website and just type in Endowed Scholarships. It'll bring you to the same page. As you recall, this is something that you always want to do in January upon your return from the fall semester. The next link is the federal website for doing your Fafsa. It's studentaid.gov. As you recall from the presentation, you want to do this in October. Do your Fafsa in October 1st or shortly thereafter, and this is where you want to go to get that done. For budgeting info, there's many websites out there. This is just one website that we've listed here to give you some information as to how to budget. Again, a very simple process, budgeting, just tracking where your money is coming from and where it's going. Two simple components. But the key is to track it and to really account for every dollar and do it regularly. And if you do so, you'll see, you may be surprised at where your money's going. 529 College Savings Plan. This is a link that will provide you some information on that, where to open up an account if you reside in a particular state, what your options are, how to take the money out for school expenses. Now, we also have many, many offices within Pace University that are here to help you for any questions that you may have. Of course, you have Ken and Chad with the TRIO organization, but you also have Office of Student Success, Career Services, Student Advising, SEDACA, which is the Student Development and Campus Activities, Office of Financial Aid, Office of Student Assistance. We are all here to help you. We all want the same thing. We want to see you graduate in 4 years, and we want to see you moving on to the successes of your life. We hope that you've enjoyed today's presentation. I hope you found it useful. Once we get back to being on campus in the fall, Regina and I are always here to meet with you or to help you to answer any questions you have. I definitely would look forward to meeting you in person as opposed to remotely. So I look forward to that. And again, if you have any questions between now and then, you can send them to Ken. Ken will forward it to me, or send it to Chad. Chad will forward it to me. And I hope you have a great semester. Until then, stay well, stay healthy, and thanks for spending some time with us this morning.